Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another Love is Blind review. This review is for Love is Blind Season 10 reunion, so let's just get right into it because a lot happened during this reunion. First, I want to say that I love the fact that the audience was full of past participants of each season of the show. I love the idea of that because I just feel like they understand the process because they've all been through it, so I feel like it makes sense for all of them to be there. But they start this reunion out talking to Vic and Christine, and we know that they're not the only couple that ended up getting married this season, but they are the only married couple that are still together. And honestly, that was not surprising to me at all. From the moment we saw Vic and Christine, we knew that they really wanted to be together. They were in this experiment for the right reasons, and they seem to be perfect for each other from what we're able to see. They don't seem to really have any issues, and they've said that things have been great since filming has stopped. They ended up moving into an apartment together, and they've spent a lot of time with each other's families, so I think that's great. And then we know that from watching this season, Christine has talked to her mother about her strained relationship with her father, but Vic did encourage her to try to talk to him, and she did. She said that she met with her father, and now her and her father are working on their relationship. So I think it's good. I really like this couple. I do wish that we saw more of them this season, but we got to see a lot of them during this reunion. And Vic and Christine even ended up getting a trip to Mexico, I believe, because they didn't get to go on the trip to Mexico with the rest of the couples at the beginning of this season. And I mean, production claims that they can only afford to send 6 couples. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm glad that Vic and Christine definitely got a lot of attention at this reunion. So after they wrapped up on Vic and Christine, we go to Jordan and Amber, who was the other couple that ended up getting married this season, and they did not last. We heard rumors going around that they had gotten a divorce after 4 months of being married, and Jordan and Amber confirmed that during the reunion. And I was sad to hear that because Jordan and Amber were my favorite couple this season besides Vic and Christine, because we got to see a lot more of Amber and Jordan's connection. I mean, I thought that they were right for each other after watching their edit on the show, but apparently a lot of things we did not get to see. Apparently when the camera stopped rolling, the two of them had a lot more problems than we were able to see on the show. Jordan said that Amber had a lot of trust issues when it came to men because of toxic past relationships that he was in, and he said that he was very understanding of that, but he felt like he was constantly trying to repair a trust he didn't break. And I completely understand where he's coming from with that, but I also understand, you know, Amber being cautious because she's had really bad relationships in the past, so she doesn't want to just give her trust away, but there's a way to handle that, and I don't feel like she handled it right based on the things that Jordan was saying. But one of the things that we did know was going to be an issue between this couple during the show was the fact that they didn't know where they wanted to live. Amber wanted to live in a certain place because of her daughter's school, and rightfully so, but Jordan wanted to live closer to the city where he can go to bars with his friends and go to concerts, and I honestly felt like that was a little bit of a red flag because I can understand wanting to do those things with your friends, but once you get married, that shouldn't be a priority anymore. Apparently the two of them lived 45 minutes apart, and Amber said that she had an issue with the fact that Jordan would only take that drive on the weekends, and she felt like he should want to see her more than just on the weekends. And I understand why she would feel that way, because why would you only want to see your husband on the weekends? I know that they weren't living together right away, but I feel like that's something that they should have discussed before saying yes at the altar. Because by him only coming on the weekends, that would make Amber feel like she's not a priority. But Jordan did say that it was both of them that was supposed to be making that drive, and he said that Amber only came twice, and so he's the one that was making the drive up there to see her, and he claims that when he would drive down there at 5:00 p.m. and then leave at 4 in the morning, Amber would tell him that those visits didn't count, and so he felt like his efforts weren't being appreciated. Amber did have a point though when she said that she didn't understand why he would want to marry her but then want to spend so much time away from her. She didn't feel like it made any sense, and I don't feel like that makes any sense either, because you could tell that he was really nervous at the altar, and I definitely feel like he should have said no. But Jordan said that her daughter was not the issue, that he never had an issue with the fact that she had a daughter, and that him and her daughter actually got along really well, but it was his relationship with Amber that didn't go well. He said that him and Amber just could not get along, and Amber was extremely disrespectful to him, yelling at him all the time, and he just couldn't take it anymore. He told a story about how he invited her to his friend's wedding, and he was actually the best man at the wedding, and Amber not only showed up late, but she got really drunk and then cussed him out in the lobby, and she didn't deny any of that, so she was definitely wrong in that situation. That's definitely embarrassing, and you should never get drunk like that and then start berating the person that you're in a relationship with. That just does not work. But Amber says that the way that Jordan handled that situation wasn't great either, because he knew that she was drunk and he put her in the car so that she can sleep it off and just left her there, and she felt some type of way about that because she feels like he should have made sure she got home safe, and I completely agree with that. I think he should have made sure she got home safe. I completely understand that he was the best man at this wedding and he was supposed to stay at at the wedding, but making sure she got home safe was something that he should have prioritized. But he did say that the reason why he put her in the car is because he took her keys from her because he didn't want her driving home drunk, and that was him trying to protect her in a sense. But this relationship is way more toxic than we were able to actually see on the show. Amber ends up getting really upset at Jordan during this conversation at the reunion because she feels like he knew that she had a daughter in this situation, and if he wasn't 100% in, he shouldn't have said yes. And look, I completely agree with Amber on that. I definitely feel like Jordan should have said no if he was having doubts. I don't think he should have said yes. I think his intentions was to say no, but once she said yes to him at the altar, I think he decided to change his mind, which was not the right decision to make. She was upset that he did not say goodbye to her daughter Emma, and Emma, I guess, was really upset about that. And I feel sorry for her daughter because her daughter should have never been put in this situation in the first place. I'm sorry, but I feel like if you have small children, this is not the show for you. And I know that might be wrong to some people to say, because just because you have a child doesn't mean you don't deserve love. But putting your child in this type of situation where it's such a fast-paced thing, like you're getting married to somebody that you barely know, and then your child has to meet this person, and then if things go wrong, then your child ends up hurt in the situation. So I just feel like unless your child is like 16 and up, I don't think you should do this show. I mean, Amber did say that she could have worked on herself, she could have went to therapy, but Jordan never really gave her the chance. And he said that he did give her the chance because they were together for 4 months and she didn't make any effort to work on herself at all. So she gets upset and she storms off the stage, but Jordan said something that I completely agree with. I feel like, you know, if she was disrespecting him and talking to him crazy all the time, I don't understand why people would think that he should stay with her just because she had a child. And I mean, if the roles were reversed and it was Jordan that was treating Amber like this, then everybody would have told Amber that she needs to get out and leave him because he's verbally abusive. But yet when it comes to Amber, some people are saying that Jordan was wrong. I don't feel like Jordan was wrong for ending the relationship, but I do feel like he should have said no at the altar. And I mean, Amber does end up coming back on stage. I think she was just hurt about the whole situation, especially because her daughter was involved. That's a very sensitive thing, and so I understand why she was so upset. And look, I really liked Amber this season. She was definitely a girl's girl, and I thought it was funny when she took a little shot at Chris, saying that he's the type of guy that gave her the trust issues in the first place. Now, I was surprised to find out that Bri and Connor are actually still together. I was surprised because of the way that she talked to him when she was ending things with him. I don't think that she was wrong for ending things, because if she didn't feel like it was right to say yes to him and go through with getting married, then she made the right decision for them both. But I do feel like it's weird that he stayed with her after the way that she talked to him, because she talked down to him a lot, especially in that final conversation that they had that we were able to see. She said some mean things about him that I didn't think was right. But I'll say this, Connor and Bri actually looked really good together at the reunion. And I mean, Nick did ask Bri if she felt like she went too far with the things that she was saying about Connor, and she did say that poking fun at him was not right. She kind of downplayed it a little bit, saying that she was just poking fun at him, but it seemed like she was just being plain outright mean. Now, I do feel like Connor and Bri are handling this situation well, though, because the fact that they're together still, but they're not living together, but they did decide to move closer to each other, I feel like they're not rushing things, and I feel like that's the right way to go about it. Now, Nick and Vanessa did end up asking Connor how he felt about Chris, and they played the clip of him flirting very heavily with Bri, and he definitely said that he didn't have anything to say to Chris, and I'm glad that he didn't give Chris any of his energy because Chris did not deserve it. However, Connor did say that him and Chris were really close in the pods, so seeing that Chris was talking negatively about him and trying to throw him under the bus so that he can be with Bri really did throw him off. And I really enjoyed Nick as the host of this reunion because he was really holding people accountable and asking the right questions, because he did end up asking Bri if she should have shut down the conversation with Chris a lot sooner, and she did say that she should have shut the conversation down sooner, so she did take accountability for that. I think she liked the attention that she was getting from Chris. This is just my opinion, I could be wrong, but it seemed like she liked the attention she was getting from Chris until he started telling her that she would just be a fuck buddy. Then that's when she shut the conversation down, because I think at that point she felt like she was being disrespected. And I mean, Nick definitely put Chris on the spot because he told Chris that he did something that no other cast member has ever done on Love is Blind, and that's to manage to piss off the entire cast of the show, which he did. He seemed to really piss off everybody, and nobody seems to like him. And I mean, rightfully so. Look at the way that he was acting. He went on this show and made a complete ass of himself. Chris barely had anything to say, but he did say that he was wrong for the way that he treated Connor, and he did apologize for that. However, I don't think that Connor cares to hear his apology, and I wouldn't either. One thing that I'm glad that Nick and Vanessa did end up asking Chris is that why was he so lovey-dovey with Jess while they were in Mexico and acting like they had had a great physical and emotional connection, only to completely switch it up after they seen each other's houses, because it wasn't until after he saw Jessica's really big, nice house that he decided to switch up on her. And I mean, Nick did end up asking Chris if after he saw how big Jessica's house was, did that make him feel a little insecure? And he said that it had nothing to do with Jessica's success, but I don't believe him. I do think that he wasn't really fully attracted to Jess, but I also feel like he was insecure at the fact that she had more than him. I feel like all of her success made him feel insecure, and he's never going to admit that, and he didn't admit that during this reunion. And I mean, Jess alluded to that too. She said that she felt like once he saw that she had her shit together, he felt insecure because he didn't have his shit together as much as she did. And I mean, Chris didn't really have anything to say to Jessica, but I thought it was funny that Devonte ended up catching a stray, because Chris was really silent at some points, and Nick ended up asking him if he was in Devonte's nothing box. And I thought that was really funny because every conversation that Devonte had with Britney, you can see that he was in that nothing box. Jess seemed to be completely unfazed by Chris, and I was happy about that. But the one time that she did show some emotion is when they showed the clip of Ashley, Priyanka, and Bri having that disrespectful conversation with Chris, where he was talking really negatively about her body, and Ashley, Bri, and Priyanka did not defend her. And I felt that way watching that episode. I felt like they shouldn't have even entertained the conversation with him. They should have told him that he was wrong, and they should have left him where he was, but they didn't. They sat there and they entertained the conversation. Jess is in a relationship with one of the guys that she had a connection with in the pods, and he's also a doctor too, and I love that for her because she seemed really happy and like cheesy when he was talking about her, and he said a lot of nice things about her at this reunion, and I love that he did that. But I hate that I'm thinking this way, but some of what he was saying to Jess was a little bit performative, and I don't know if he was doing it because he wanted to make himself look good, or if he was trying to basically stick it to Chris. If he was trying to stick it to Chris, then I understand what he was doing. And look, I hate that my mind even went to this place, but sometimes when a person is way too complimentary of you all the time, it kind of gives me a red flag a little bit. But I'm not saying he's a red flag, that's just where my mind went. So I hope that he's good to Jessica, and I hope that she gets the happy ending that she was looking for when she came on this show. Let's get to Mike and Emma, because Mike did say at this reunion that he was blindsided by the fact that Emma ended up saying yes at the altar, because both of them had agreed prior to the wedding that they were both going to say no and that they were still going to date afterwards. And I can understand why he would kind of feel some type of way about that, because it kind of makes him look bad that she said yes and then he said no. It looks like he was breaking her heart, especially on her birthday, because we found out that it was actually her 28th birthday, the day of their wedding. And we know the whole kid thing came up because we know that Mike really wants to have children, and that's part of the reason why he said no to Emma, was because she was unsure if she actually wanted to have kids, and he didn't want to say yes, and then down the line she changes her mind. Which is why I don't feel like they should have ever made it together out of the pods in the first place, because he knew in those pods that she was unsure if she wanted to have kids. But Emma claims that her saying I do at the wedding was her declaration of saying yes to having children with him at some point. But he said he didn't see it like that. He saw it as she was flip-flopping on her decisions, because days before the wedding, she was saying that she was going to say no, and then all of a sudden they're at the altar and she's saying yes, so he really doesn't know what to believe. I hope this situation doesn't repeat itself in another season of the show, because we clearly see how that turns out. If you're in the pods with somebody and you say that you want children and it's non-negotiable, but the person that you're talking to from behind that pod is saying that they don't know if they want to have children, please don't get engaged and make it through the whole process of this show and then say no at the altar because they don't want the same thing as you, because it's a complete waste of time. Now, Emma says that she's single and she's been in therapy and working on herself, and I think that's great. I think that that's something that she needed. Not because she's a bad person, it's just that she has things that she needs to work through that even her family didn't know she was going through. But Mike says that he's actually in a relationship, and he's been in a relationship for 7 months, and the woman was actually there at the reunion, and Emma's face looked like she was really heartbroken. It looked like she may have wanted to reconnect with him at the reunion and see if they can try things again because of the look on her face. I don't know if that's true. That's what her facial expression was giving. I felt bad for her, but I didn't think things would work out between the two of them anyway, not just because of the whole kid situation, but the way that his family was acting towards her. Now, next we end up getting into Alex and Ashley's relationship, and this is another couple that I felt like should have never gotten engaged, because we can see that they definitely wasn't a match. Nick immediately started questioning Alex about his stories changing up, and Alex was definitely getting very defensive during this conversation with Vanessa and Nick. He was just really defensive the whole time, and it's probably because people have been on social media calling him a liar and a swindler, but that's kind of what he showed on the show. Now, he kept telling everybody to name the lies, but I mean, we all watched the show, we all saw that he would talk in circles and do all this word salad anytime anybody would ask him a question, and he couldn't get his timeline straight. And he tried to say that he did get his timeline straight, but that he's been back and forth to Austin 3 times, so he didn't know which time Ashley was talking about, but he did know what time she was talking about. She was talking about right before he came on the show. And I mean, this is not to say that Ashley was perfect. She has a lot of things that she needs to work out as well. I mean, her little speech that she gave at the wedding, a lot of people was not impressed by it because they felt like she could have kept it. I mean, it definitely sounded like it was rehearsed, and she did admit that she did rehearse it, so at least she's being honest about that. But Alex can't sit there and act like he's not problematic as well. And I mean, he even got defensive with Vanessa when Vanessa was saying that when he was answering Ashley's father's questions, it seemed like he was rehearsing his answers, like he was saying all the right things, and he felt like that was a good thing. But people feel like you're inauthentic when you say all the right things. That's definitely a red flag. That means that you're not saying what you really mean. You're saying what you think you're supposed to say. You're telling people what you think they want to hear, and that's not authentic. That's not genuine. So that's what I feel like Ashley should have said to him. She didn't feel like he was genuine, because I got that too. He doesn't seem genuine. And even Vanessa told him that he seems like he's uptight and he has his guard up so much that you don't get to see the real him, and that if he showed just a little bit of vulnerability, people would be able to see the real him. And I mean, Ashley has things to work on too. I mean, she's a beautiful woman, but you can definitely tell that she has a lot of insecurities that she needs to work through before she decides to get into a relationship or get married. Her and Alex definitely was not a match. But Alex making it seem like Ashley's father was wrong for the way that he was questioning him is crazy to me. I think Ashley's father did what everybody's father on this show should have been doing. I mean, the way that Ashley's dad was questioning Alex is the same way Britney's dad should have been questioning Devonte. Because I mean, Ashley's dad was not wrong. Your daughter's bringing this guy to you that you've never met before. She's only dated him from behind the wall, and now all of a sudden the two of them are engaged and getting married. You're going to want to ask every question possible to try to get to know this person who's about to marry your child. And Alex definitely said that he came on the show looking for a wife. I don't believe him. I don't think that he was looking for a wife. I think that any woman that would have came out of those pods, whether it was his type or not, I don't think he would have said yes at the altar. But he claims that he came on there looking for a wife. He just didn't see one. And I thought it was funny the way that Nick clapped back at him, because the show is called Love is Blind. So you didn't see any wife because they were behind a wall and you chose to get engaged to them. If looks are that important to you, why did you come on this show? And that's why I don't feel like he was being genuine for why he came on the show, which a lot of people don't come on this show for genuine reasons, not just him. But I feel like if looks are that important to you, you shouldn't have came on a show called Love is Blind. Let's talk about Britney and Devonte, because I have a lot to say about the two of them. I definitely feel like Devonte should have ended things with Britney when they were in Mexico and they had that fight, because we know that he wasn't interested in her. He wasn't interested in Britney the moment he saw her step out of those pods. He was not interested. He was completely checked out, and he showed her that when they were in Mexico. So I feel like he should have ended things with her in Mexico. So yes, Devonte was completely wrong for dragging her through this process, knowing from the very beginning that he didn't want her. However, Britney needs to take some accountability as well, because he showed her that he was not interested in her in Mexico. He definitely showed her that's why she was crying so much. So just like Devonte should have ended things with Britney because he knew he wasn't interested in her in Mexico, she should have ended things with him in Mexico because he showed her that he wasn't interested in her, and she still decided to go along with this process with him. Britney said that when Devonte called off their wedding, she was under the impression that they were still engaged and that they were still going to work on their relationship. But she says that after he called off the wedding and left her house, she didn't see him for 2.5 weeks, and she actually had to text him within those 2.5 weeks, and she ended up asking him if they were still together. And I feel like he should have said no. He should have been upfront and honest with her. Honestly, he should have been upfront and honest with her when he called off the wedding. He should have told her, no, I don't want to be with you anymore. The engagement's off. We're done. Because for Britney, that's what she felt like she needed to hear. He probably thought that she would just get the point once he called off the wedding. And honestly, I mean, for me, I would have gotten the point as soon as he called off that wedding. I would have known that the two of us were done. But Britney's different. She wanted to hear the words "we're done" from him, and he did not give that to her. So she was sitting there for those 2.5 weeks thinking that she was still engaged, even though he knew he was done with her when he walked out of her house. But I'll say this, Britney was definitely delusional throughout this process with Devonte. I feel like he showed her at every turn that he did not want to be with her, and she was settling for him because she really wanted to be married. I mean, Nick even asked her during this conversation at the reunion if she was in love with Devonte or if she was in love with the idea of getting married, and she said that she was in love with Devonte. But I feel like it was impossible for her to be in love with that man. not the way that he was treating her. He barely gave her any attention. I mean, she even said at this reunion that he called her his shadow, even though she didn't feel like she was acting like a shadow, because she said that she was giving him so much space that her love language wasn't even being met. So I just feel like he showed her that he didn't want to be with her. So I really do feel like she just wanted to be married so bad. I feel like she was desperate to be married. I don't feel like she just wanted to be married. She was desperate to be a wife. And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to get married and be a wife. I don't even think that it's wrong that she had a wedding dress before coming on the show. But I will say that her desperation was making her settle for Devonte. One thing I will say that is wrong, and not just on Devonte's part, but on the girl's part, is that Britney said that in those 2.5 weeks that her and Devonte weren't seeing each other because he called off the wedding, but she still thought that they were together because when she texted him and asked them if they were still together, he said yes. She said that he told her that he had to go on a work trip, but really he went on a trip to Austin with Priyanka, Bri, and Ashley, and she knew nothing about this. She said that the only reason she even found out about this is because Amber ended up telling her about it. And Ashley, Bri, and Priyanka were basically trying to save their own asses. They didn't feel like they did anything wrong in that situation because they said that Devonte told them that him and Britney decided to break up with each other, but that they're still cool with one another. And look, I see their point. If Devonte's saying that they broke up, but they're still cool with each other, they think everything's okay. But if they're supposed to be friends with Britney, why didn't they go to Britney first and ask her if she was okay and ask her about the breakup before they decided to just go on this trip with Devonte? And why didn't they tell Britney about this trip? I mean, maybe they assumed that Devonte already told Britney about it, or maybe Britney wouldn't care because of the fact that they're not together anymore, because that's what Devonte told them. But I still think as a woman, you should have told Britney, who is supposed to be you guys' friends, that you're going on a trip with her fiance or ex-fiance. At least find out from her what's going on and not just take Devonte's word for it. Now, Britney's dad does end up having a conversation with Devonte, and obviously he's upset at the fact that Devonte wasn't honest with him when he asked him when they met up with each other if he had any doubts about marrying Britney, and we know that Devonte said no, and we know that that's not the truth. However, I think it's too late for Britney's father to question Devonte. There's nothing that he needs to answer for you now. I mean, it's been a year. He's not with your daughter anymore. He called off the wedding, so what's the point of questioning him now? The time for Britney's dad to question Devonte would have been his first meeting with Devonte. I felt like he just gave Devonte so many passes, and he just accepted him right away without finding out who this guy was and if he really loved his daughter. And then he also could have questioned Devonte after he called off the wedding, but questioning him a whole year later at the reunion doesn't make any sense. But I'll say this, I'm glad that Britney had the support of her father there because she needed that. But overall, I thought this was a really good reunion. I feel like Nick held this reunion together. I felt like Vanessa really didn't say much, and I was kind of happy about that. But Nick handled this reunion very well. He asked the questions that we wanted to hear. He held people accountable, not just one person like they usually do at the reunion. So I thought that this reunion was actually really good. So let me know what you guys thought about this reunion down in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video.